Brandon. Welcome to my channel, Books in the Shire. It's time for another monthly reading wrap-up. So we're going to talk about all six books I read in October. I do want to say a lot of these books, all of them except for one, I talked about in videos I recently posted, so I won't go too in-depth on them. But I will mention them, obviously, because I did read them. The first book that I read in October was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Everyone has talked about this book everywhere. It's on BookTube, Bookstagram, probably Book Talk, I don't know. But I finally read it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I did have a good time. One of my things was the time was difficult to kind of keep up with because each chapter jumps to a different time period. It's never like consistent. It just jumps around a lot. So personally, that was a little hard to follow, but I don't think it took away from my enjoyment because I don't think you really need to know the time. And I feel like it's pretty clear if it's like the past or the future kind of in terms of the chapters, I guess. I thought this book was super atmospheric and magical. If you have seen the show Pushing Daisies, I listened to this book on audio and the narrator sounds a lot like the narrator from Pushing Daisies. And not just in like vocal tone, but also in like their inflections and just like how they describe things, because this book is written similarly to how the monologues in Pushing Daisies are written, or I don't know if they're monologues or dialogue, whatever. I hope you understand what I mean, but they're written very similarly, so I think that's why I got a lot of similar vibes between that narrator, the narrator for this book and the narrator for the show. It was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed how the narrator like told the story. Like I said, it was super magical. It was just very light and fun, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm looking at the notes I wrote down for this book because I've been trying to like keep notes of all the books I read now so I can explain my thoughts better. And I put down a note saying not overly fond of the ending but still satisfying. And honestly, I couldn't tell you how the book ended. Like, I remember bits and pieces of it, but I don't remember the overall ending. So that's my thought, I guess. Past me thought that. So I guess I wasn't super satisfied with the ending, but it was still good. The next 4 books I read are all books I talk about in my spooky reading vlog. So if you want a bit more in-depth thoughts and stuff about them, you can go watch that vlog. I will link it or whatever, but I'll also briefly talk about them here. So next I read 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. This is my first ever Holly Jackson book and I had a good time. I gave this, I believe, a 3.5 stars. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed the kind of mystery of it all. I did explain in my vlog that I went in assuming it would be more horror than mystery, and that's on me, not on the book. But know that it is more a mystery. It is not like a thriller or a horror. It's definitely a mystery. One thing about this book is I wasn't overly fond of the characters. I felt like there wasn't a lot of depth to them besides Oliver. What a little asshole. But everyone else just kind of fell flat for me. I wasn't like super invested in who lives, who dies, and all of that jazz. So that I wasn't overly fond of. And I do feel like I think I said the first 50 pages. Yeah, the first 50 pages could have been a bit shorter. I felt like it was a bit long, just kind of a lot of, is exposition the right word? Just like not really much happening except for them driving and talking. And I think that it was meant to have the reader understand character dynamics and character relationships, but honestly it didn't give me much that I couldn't have figured out a little later in the book given when all this stuff goes down. So that was like one of my things. But I did enjoy this. I would definitely recommend this to people. I think it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the ending, particularly the last chapter. I really liked that. And I like that even though there's like a bad guy, there's not like, certain people are questionable, but they're also like good at the same time. So I did like that. Next, I read Final Girls by Riley Sager. I ended up giving this book a 3.5 stars as well. I had a good time reading this. This is my first time ever venturing into adult thriller. So this was a lot of fun. I definitely want to read more from this genre because this book was a really good introduction for me. I thought the writing was super easy to read. I just kind of flew through this book. It's not a very long book either, but like it's 300 something pages. But still, the writing was super easy to digest and like get through, so I just flew through this book. The biggest thing for me in this book was I wasn't a fan of the final reveal. It kind of felt weird. Not weird, it was creepy. I didn't think it's meant to be creepy, but like it was a little not my favorite, but that's totally okay. I did mention that I wish this book had focused a bit more on the past crime as opposed to the present day. And I do still have that opinion, but I think it was also really good in the present story, what the story actually was. But I think it would be really interesting to actually get more, or just like a single book just from that like first crime. Even though you get a lot of it in this book, you wouldn't need a second book. But it would have been nice to kind of have a bit more of that, because I just thought that was super interesting. Next, I read The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. I did DNF this, but I DNF'd it at 45%, or 40 something percent. I don't think it was exactly 45%, but I'm still going to talk about it just because I did read a lot of it, because it's a really short book too. It's under 300 pages, so I got to like the 100-page mark, so I read half practically. This book was just really slow for me. I thought the concept was interesting, and I was intrigued to see the character dynamics between Jake and Sawyer, but like it was not happening, and like I said, I was already practically 50% through and like nothing was happening. So I was just really bored. I'm intrigued to see like other people's opinions about this book, because it just wasn't for me. I wish it had, ventured a bit more into the horror, and I wish that plot was happening a little bit quicker. But yeah, I don't know if I would recommend this book. I mean, it's hard to say. I did DNF it. But if you like slower paced books, I think that this would be really interesting for some people. Next, my favorite book of the month was These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was just like a fun, cute teen witchy romance, but like with some mystery involved in it. I liked that the stakes weren't super high. I liked that it was a little mundane, but you added the little like magical elements in. I really liked the teen romance. I mentioned this in my vlog, but it gave me very early Scott and Allison vibes from Teen Wolf, like just so innocent, and like one of them's hiding a big secret from the other, and like it could affect their relationship. I just thought it was really cute. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend this book. I really want to read the second one, and I just haven't gotten to it yet because I don't own it yet, and I'm trying to focus on my physical TBR, but I really want to keep going with this series, even though it's just a duology. But this was just so cute. I would definitely recommend it. Don't go in with thinking it's going to be like this crazy, fantastic, magical story. Not that it's not really fun or anything. It's just like nothing crazy. I just thought it was like a really fun book. I'd really recommend this. I thought it was so much fun. It was just such a cute teen romance, and like I liked the witchy vibes, and I liked that it, was set in Salem. I know that, it's a little on the nose, but I really didn't care. I thought it was just a lot of fun. They did change it up. It's set during the summer, not Halloween, so you got that at least. But definitely recommend this. It was a lot of fun. And then the last book that I read in October was A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is the 4th book in the Ember and the Ashes series. And I briefly mentioned this in my vlog, but I kind of don't have concrete thoughts about this. I finished this probably a week or so ago, and I still don't have concrete thoughts. I thought it was a good ending, but I wasn't overly satisfied with everything, but not in a bad way. I still enjoyed myself. I did give it 4 stars. I had a good time. And I thought it wrapped up a lot of things nicely, but there were certain things that I wasn't a huge fan of. But yeah, I don't have strong feelings about it. I definitely would recommend this series to people. I think it's a really great series, and I think that it definitely has more mature themes in it than a lot of YA books do, and I really enjoyed that. But the conclusion was it just happened for me. Wasn't good, wasn't bad, wasn't great, wasn't terrible. I don't know, I read it. But I do recommend it. I'm sorry that this is not a very good wrap up for this book. I just don't have a lot to say, and a lot of what I had to say I said in that video. I know this was like a quick video because a lot of the books I talked about in other videos, but I think that's kind of okay. If you want more in-depth thoughts, you can watch those videos. If you're just satisfied with this, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in another one.